morning to you, our dearest viewers. It's a Thursday, the 20th of July, 2023. Welcoming you to our another program, the Press Review, here on Luntha Television. This is a program that we bring you some of the stories that are appearing in our daily papers, that's the Nation, but of course the Daily Times. So this morning, you are with me, Bernard Manza, and my colleague
Tandi Wemzumara.
I hope you are fine.
Yes, I'm doing great, and how are you?
I'm all right as well.
Thank you.
Maybe you may start taking us through the front page of the Daily Times.
Okay, on the front page here, a headline reads, East Bridge directors search for markets. And part of the story reads that East Bridge local directors have been outside the country for about 3 weeks now, searching for markets of produce they will get from the Malawi government, the Daily Times has established. Recently, the government announced that it had signed a fertilizer deal with Romanian company East Bridge, further indicating that it is a commodity exchange arrangement. I don't know if you've been following up on this issue, but it has kind of raised some issues, especially with the procurement processes.
Yes.
And I remember that earlier this week I saw, I think there was a story that the Malawi Law Society wrote the ACB, the Attorney General, and the Director of Public Prosecution to actually investigate more on this issue. I think they're worried that, it's more like a trend in the country when it comes to procurement of certain things outside of the country, especially to do with fertilizer. We have a lot of examples, of bad examples, I would say, things that didn't turn out so well.
And even the processes themselves, you understand there are times that even the public, this firm that handles issues to do with the procurement, the PPDA,
Yes.
has been bypassed as far as procurements, government procurements are concerned. So you wanted to say, why do we have this PPDA?
If it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
And it raises questions because this issue is to do with fertilizer. It's the issue to do with the whole country. Now we have a very established organization or entity to look into these issues. And then you see all these excuses that will say this and that, yet we have such firms that can regulate or guide to say you have to do this, you have to do that. And then we'll be singing the very same song until the rings.
It's like every year we're literally talking about the very same thing. It's like a pattern now.
Others, of course, have been questioned to say maybe it's one of the ways to loot public funds, and because these processes that are never been followed are raising questions, eyebrows to say, then why
put the rules at all?
You say so. Maybe it's just a way of trying to siphon money in the name of procurement.
And it also goes to prove further that as a country, I think we know how to just write things, like we actually know how to put things on paper, but the implementation itself is not so good.
All right, on the front page of the Nation, Chilima seeks a relief on bail conditions. The High Court of Malawi has reserved its ruling on an application by Vice President Saros Chilima to vary some of his bail conditions imposed in connection with his corruption case. The Vice President, who is facing corruption charges in relation to United Kingdom-based Malawian businessperson Zuneth Sata, appeared before the court in Lilongwe yesterday for hearing of the application for variation of bail conditions. I think we can stop there. But I think it has been in public domain since yesterday. The issue to do with the bail conditions that are attached to the case of Chilima. And people have been questioned, not people, but the court, the defense lawyers to say, I think the conditions are just too much. This is second most senior citizen in Malawi, but you're giving the conditions as if it's an ordinary person. To say you are bringing in a condition to say maybe he can run away. To say you have to take the passport, has to be appearing before the NCB once in every 3 months. That's 4 times a year. Instead of just saying this is the case, we want to be hearing the cases or what, be coming to court agamba lero abanga jana zabula chikulina, but the conditions that are attached to them they are saying are questionable.
But do you think he'd actually run?
Actually, they say so. He's already surrounded by the police.
Of course he is, like all the time. And how is he to run? That's like expecting the president to run. How would the president run? Because,
So,
you know, it's like, okay, these people, we have to understand that the president and the vice president, whatever move that they make, they are monitored. They don't necessarily have a private life. So I don't know. But maybe what they're looking at in this case is that the law is the law and it should work on everyone else, no matter who you are or what you are.
Of course.
Okay, now moving on to the third page here, a headline reads 8 million children get polio vaccine, and part of the story reads that the Ministry of Health has disclosed that about 8.39 million children who are less than 15 years old have received polio vaccines in the country. I think this is there have been the Ministry of Health has been holding this exercise, polio vaccination, since last week. If I'm not mistaken, the campaign was supposed to be from Wednesday last week to Saturday over the weekend. But I do understand that the ministry had to add a few more days. I think about 2 or 3 more days, because in some areas, in some districts, the target was not reached. You know, I think what it says here, it says the figure of 8.39 million children, it represents about 90.7% of children in the country, which I think is a good thing, because as Malawians, I think we're very reluctant when it comes to vaccines.
Actually, I don't know where the fear comes from. But,
we've had too many vaccines. But then also, of course, it does. Okay, I think these are children, of course, which doesn't really make sense why people would be scared. Because sometimes there are cases whereby certain vaccines, people have been having these beliefs that, you know, the government is trying to actually give us the COVID-19 vaccine, but it is actually lying to us, pretending that it's something else. But then with the polio vaccine, children obviously can't take the COVID-19 vaccine, so they can't use it as that.
All right, the second page of the national newspaper, Kasia Rutile mine gets to 9 billion kwacha injection. Rio Tinto Mining and Exploration, an Anglo-Australian company, is investing to 9 billion kwacha in Sovereign Metals Limited, which is exploring the Kasia Rutile mine prospect, resulting in an initial 15% shareholding. An announcement from Sovereign on July 17 said Rio Tinto has agreed to initially subscribe for and purchase 83 million thereabout new fully paid ordinary shares, but it has also been offered with 34 million options to increase its shareholding by 4.99% within 12 months. This is another issue, the Kasia Rutile mine. I think there is a lot of expectation from the public to say, I think this mine can bring something for Malawians. And then the injection of about 9 billion kwacha, I think it's another milestone to see what we are expecting, because we want the work to be done there.
And that the country should be the first and the people themselves to actually benefit. Because we know when it comes to issues of mining in the country, it's always the people who are actually in the area who don't benefit the most.
Exactly.
It's people outside the country who are benefiting the most.
You see, they just bring something as a means of to say achieving or accomplishing the corporate social responsibility. But then you see, just maybe a simple health center, they are done. To say, at least we've done something. No. Because what is coming out of that project,
it's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
And it's going to be obviously more than the 29 billion kwacha that they injected.
Exactly, because it will be a lot of money. But as you have already put it, saying those who do benefit are very, very individuals who are very quiet, not the communities around. or not even the public, not even the Malawian citizens. I think we need to see something different from this time around. To say we have talked for a long time issues with Kairekera mining. How many have benefited? How much has the country gained from the Kairekera? And now I understand mostly what is happening there because the government munati photo was mtijio ngubwino kuti amaika 5 years ngati kuti mwina ena sabereke msoko ngubwino pamakandi tuji ine ndakupatsani offer kuti mupange ntchito imene. That's what happens Kairekera reports are indicating to say aika kuti 5 years iyi company amakanga kuti mwina ka bracket kana kuti ka msonko sabereke wala abereke kakamo. And then what happens Kairekera mabizoti 5 years jakamata company ija amakambirana zungu kuisitha dzina. Understand? Aisitha dzina so the management isinta wenewe kawiri kalo sisinta asinta kuti ika mzuma ikamata 5 years adzayika kuti ika amati cholinga asamaberekebe msoko.
And yet probably it's still the same Zumayas who are still running.
You see, yes, exactly. Absolutely, that hand you are
trying to make it seem that the management yes, or it's a Naho other company, so that they should still be under that bracket of the tax binama.
Asabereke ndito asamabereke and the binama just ukamba amangutai we are still studying the soil. We are still studying miayo. Kwina wabeza kutubile Kairekera. You'll be surprised to see minimal structures of course it's a big investment. We understand. The investment investment. But you want to say what my operations as says what is also zienda ngani magetsi ndi magetsi ochuluka amene amaina kale. Even the repairing
would even throughout the 5 years nothing, as they say, nothing has come out of it. Why not move on to something else?
Benefit so I think zosiyana bezimene zimakazi kuti Kairekera kume dzola manalo so sauka koma amene ulisaukitsa ndani omwewa watu wadziwa.
Okay. Now moving on to business news.
Yes.
I'll take one. The headline here is high farm gate prices by the World Bank, and part of the story reads that the World Bank has said this year's elevated farm gate prices for agricultural commodities may be among barriers for international market entry. The global lender says in its 17th Malawi Economic Monitor, launched in Lilongwe yesterday, that the rate would render the local produce non-competitive on the global market. Recently, the Ministry of Agriculture set 500 kwacha per kilogram as farm gate prices for maize. Price for polished rice was set at 1,000 per kg, rice unpolished at 500 kwacha per kg, and sorghum at 400 per kg. It seems the prices. The report is saying that aggregating, grading, and transporting agricultural produce is costly, which cannot be met by the market-based farm gate prices that are generally lower than market prices. So what they're looking at is what? That we raise the prices? I mean, if we're being honest, I'm not enough in the how more can we do?
I'm recalling one of the programs that we had here in Luntha, Chizuru. Okay, there have been varying comments to say, I think prices in a farm gate in a kadisali. Kuti kusabuna wayo koti ngati tukulitsa pa 500 ndio titivutitsa alimi sabindula yachepa ena kuti already yoyo yambiri tikamadza fika kuti miyezi 9 mitengo already kuti tizakula pa mitengo. So zintali songazi mvetso kuti kwenye muna chimene chofunira chitachitika kuti balance.
But if we're being honest anyways, not many people are actually buying at those prices when they go missing.
All right, but there is saw amid falling consumer demand. That's a business story there and the national newspaper. The level of non-performing loans has been on the rise, increasing by 20.7% per year. Published data has some World Bank calculations based on Reserve Bank of Malawi. Data published recently show that non-performing loans as a ratio of gross loans increased to 7.4% in April 2023. This is a rise from 6.1% recorded in April 2022 and 6.6% recorded in January 2023. In an interview on Monday, Consumers Association of Malawi Executive Director John Capito attributed the high bad debt levels to rising costs of borrowing and declining consumer demand amid rising cost of living.
It's a straightforward issue, actually. We shouldn't be surprised. Shall we move on to international news?
Please, let's move on.
Okay, on international news, I think I will take one. A headline here reads, Putin will not attend the BRICS summit, that is according to South Africa. And part of the story reads that Russia's president will not attend the summit in South Africa next month, according to the country's presidency. The announcement comes after South Africa's leader said any attempt to arrest Vladimir Putin would be a declaration of war against Russia. If Putin had left Russian soil, he would have been subject to an international criminal court ICC arrest warrant. Well, I do understand why he would not be attending. I mean, Vladimir Putin, at this point, I mean, he has done so much damage. And I think even if I was in his shoes, I would not risk it. Because obviously the moment he leaves his country, wherever it is that he lives, and then the international criminal court is as a matter of fact
Ucheni Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa anali pampani because in South Africa, you remember there was this time I think Ramaphosa, Hichilema and the other one, I think they have been to Russia, they've been in Ukraine to first talks, at least to try to bring peace between the two nations. But Ramaphosa now the anasema declaration the International Criminal Court ndivyo zinazothandisa kuti kuti ngati pali anthu amene akukhudzidwa kuti ngati lese kumala kuti afika kuno munthu akulimbidwa mlandu kuti akumfuna ayina kuti aitengepo gawo ngati munasananira zimenezo mumake ngati akumfuna munthu ayina kumaka. So South Africa is one of the countries amene asanina motivation understand. So amene ati kuti potsatira zimenezo uyo akafika ku South Africa I'm quitting kumpereka ku amene akumfuna bolola milandu lapadziko lonse. Pamene South Africa yomweyo ikuthandizanso kuti pakhale ma talks obweretsa mtendere pakati pa Ukraine ndi Russia. So anali pampani kuti apanga zotani kuti mbali zonsezi zioneke kuti mwina sana kuzidwe kwenikweni. So mwina ikangati relief to them kuti
we don't have to betray them.
Yes, somewhere.
But at the same time too, it's kind of good. Because imagine, I can just imagine Putin and South Africa. How sure are we that Russia will stop fighting Ukraine, now will start actually aiming for South Africa? And South Africa, so
this meeting in BRICS and the Kumano Pakati Brazil, B is for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, and A is for South Africa. So it's expected to be the start of 2022.
So Ara is not going to be there.
So Ara will not be there.
Maybe he's going to send some people.
Definitely, maybe because the issues to do with economy or what, maybe going to send some other delegates to represent him. I don't know. Obviously, they're not facing any arrest warrants. Those are the delegates that he may delegate.
I mean, the target is the president.
It's him. Remember, we've been having issues to do with the al-Bashir. then nthawi nake sunayiso afunika amangidwe wakhala kupita kudziko kwina atinko malawiso anafika ndi 20 unaso wapina kuti titani koma navizobe kuti apankamuva kuba kupulitsidwa. Trump expects arrest in January 6th probe. That's another story there. Former United States President Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested by a federal inquiry into the U.S. Capitol riot and his efforts to challenge the 2020 election results. BBC yesterday reported that the 77-year-old said this in a social media post, claiming that he was informed by special counsel Jack Smith on Sunday that he was a target of their investigation. Trump posted that he was told report to a grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment.
Okay, moving on to arts and culture, I'll also take one here, and this story headline here reads "No Elaine at Kumingoli Bash," and part of the story reads that organizers of the Kumingoli Bash have announced that Jamaican-American reggae singer and songwriter Elaine Lawton will not perform at the event slated for this Saturday at Grand Business Park in Lilongwe. The organizers had indicated on their lineup that Elaine would be one of the international acts to perform at the bash alongside Yo Maps from Zambia and South African Afro-pop duo Black Diamond. So in this case, she's not coming in the country. She was a shortage of forex. However, apparently she is to come later. Like at a later date, half of her payment was already made. I mean, as a country, I think we are fond of this way.
It's quite tricky. And,
I mean, we still haven't seen a real Longomba in the country.
So you're looking forward to have him here?
Who? Awilo?
Anyone?
No, that's not the point. I'm just saying, it's like sometimes these artists from outside the country. No, but then for this, in this case, it's forex. So we understand. I mean, we all know that that's an issue.
Well, let's have another one here for our own here. Author tackles depression in new book. As people have become acquainted to posts and tweets about mental health on the internet, Helbert, that's our own here, is set to release a book taking the issue offline. The book, titled The Audacity of Depression, said to be released on July 31st during a program called I Matter One-on-One here on Luntha television. The book invites readers to a journey to discover solutions to depression that surpasses posts and tweets, as he shares thoughts, observations, and experiences. Well,
it's a good thing. I mean, like, it says that the book wants to actually take the talk out of the whole social media thing, because social media has a way of how would I even making things seem so unemotional. When you hear that someone has suffered from depression and maybe results into suicide, there are always these mixed comments that people make about the whole issue. So I think that it's a good thing that we want to, like in this case, he tries to tackle the issue of social media.
Yes.
Like, can we actually talk about this in real life rather than just typing about it on the phone? Because this is an issue that is really affecting a lot of people. And I can tell you that maybe out of 10 people, maybe it's just one person who would actually come out and say, oh no, I've never actually been depressed before.
Yes.
But everyone, almost everyone gets stressed, and maybe it actually results into depression. So
let's look forward to that book on the 31st of July. I think you'll be able to follow through our different platforms during that program, I Matter One-on-One, and we'll hear more from himself, from Katanda himself, to say what is it all about the book itself. Okay,
at the back page here, local sports, I'll take one. Colorful send-off for Queens. Part of the story reads, Youth and Sports Minister Uchizi Mkandarire is this evening expected to give Malawi national netball team a colorful send-off to the 2023 Netball World Cup finals during a ceremony scheduled for Bingu International Convention Center, BICC, in Lilongwe. The Queens leave for Cape Town, South Africa tomorrow ahead of the competition's throw-off on July 28th. All I can say is all the best. The Queens make us proud as always.
Swim or sink for Nomad's coach, mastering to save Joba Silva at Top Sport. This is it. My Wanderers coach Mark Harrison faces a swim or sink situation as he leads his charges in a must-win TNM Super League match against Silver Strikers at Kamuzu Stadium, Luntha, to keep his job. The Romans host the Central Bankers as the two giants return to action after being exempted from fixtures for 2 weeks for contributing 4 players each to the Malawi national football team, which was in Durban, South Africa, for the just ended 2023 COSAFA Cup. Tafunde zabwino ujeni anomba koja libapale bani.
Okay, just finishing up with international sports. PSG Mbappe standoff continues, and part of the story says PSG President Nasser Al-Khelaifi saw Kylian Mbappe at the club's training ground on Tuesday, but decided not to hold a one-to-one meeting as the standoff between club and player continued.
Abanyo aguntenga Andre Onana kali goalkeeper wao kuchola ku Inter Milan.
Replacing the one that just left. Okay, and of course, as he puts it, that is also the end of today's program for Press Review, today being the 20th of July 2023. We only to go through some of the stories that are appearing in our newspapers. If you want to know more details, get yourself the paper, with each going at the price of 1,200 kwacha. You've been with me, Tandia Wenzumara, and my colleague
Brennan Mwanza.
Have a lovely Thursday. Yes.